So you don't have any, huge. Okay, everything is clear.
I have taken my degree certificate, sir.
Okay.
But only the 7 from
Only
Good afternoon, everyone. Joining back for today's program. Starting it shortly. To be online in another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
नहीं व्हाट्सएप हेलो इंटरनेशनल ओपन नहीं हुआ? कल ही भेजे थे ना, कल मैंने मैम को भी भेजा था, आपको भी भेजा।
Sir. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Reddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Shall we start, sir?
You can start, yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Reddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Shall we start, sir?
You can start, yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Reddy.
There is a lag. Correct.
Welcome back, everyone, for the afternoon session of the one-day national level workshop on skill enhancement in engineering education through national education policy. We are privileged to have Dr. O.P. Goyal, Senior General Manager, Head, Bosch India, with us today. I now request Ms. Preeti J. Aradhya from Department of Mechanical Engineering to introduce him to the gathering. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. O.P. Goyal. Dr. O.P. Goyal heads the Bosch India Foundation, CSR and Skill Development. He did his PhD in the area of training and development. During his 30 years of career in the corporate sector, he worked in different senior business management roles. Dr. Goyal set up and headed Bosch Sales Training Academy for Asia Pacific region to train Bosch sales managers. He is specially passionate about training of the trainers and employment linked upskilling of the youth. Dr. Goyal also heads Bosch Vocational Center at Bangalore, which runs the German apprenticeship training model for last 60 years. The center has been awarded as the best apprenticeship center by the President of India 54 times and has produced 245 gold medalist apprentices. He also chairs various skill committees set by CII and other industry associations. Bridge, a short-term skilling program for school dropout youth, is brainchild for Dr. Goyal. Under this program, 40,000 youth have been trained and employed through more than centers across the country. His vision is to set up one Bridge center in each district of the country. Under his leadership, Bosch has forged public-private partnership with National Skill Development Corporation, sector skill councils, and various state governments. Many awards have been won for Bridge, including the FICCI CSR Award for Skill Development and NHRD Award for CSR Best Practice. Dr. Goyal was given a special privilege to brief Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi and Dr. Angela Merkel, German Chancellor, about Bosch skilling initiative in nation building when both of them together visited the Bosch Vocational Center. No wonder that the Government of India invited Dr. Goyal to join the Steering Committee of Prime Minister Kaushal Vikas Yojana, which is usually restricted to the senior IAS officers from various ministries and where he is the only skilling expert representing any country. He and his teammates single mission eliminate unemployment. We will now play a video on Bosch Industry Academia collaboration for you all, after which Dr. O.P. Goyal will address the gathering.
Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Manjula Jain, Industry Academia Collaboration Lead, representing Tirthankar Mahavir University, Moradabad, and Bosch partnership with it. I'm very happy to share our journey with Bosch Industry Academia collaboration so far. As you all are aware that the unemployment rate in India is increasing every year, and it has become worst during COVID-19 outbreak. It's very unfortunate to share that the unemployment qualifications. Thus, reducing unemployment and upskilling youth is the need of the hour. In this regard, the concerted and the collaborated efforts of industry and academia will play a vital role to achieve this Herculean task. The year ending 2020 has been quite monumental for TMU when Dr. O.P. Goyal sir, country head, Bosch India Foundation, came up with a unique partnership opportunity for select private universities in India are working together on skill development areas and establishing Industry Academy Collaboration Center at our university. The center is intended to offer relevant skill development programs aimed at creating more job-ready graduates. So we joined hands with Bosch to set up the Industry Academy Collaboration Center with the common objective to channelize our efforts in 5 areas of collaboration. Our journey with Bosch so far has been very enriching. The 4 days MEPSC training sessions made us quite nostalgic and reminded us of assessments and thereafter making us students again. We successfully obtained certification from NSDC. Truly speaking, words are short to describe the viability of this partnership with Bosch. It's my strong conviction that the exclusive Bosch Industry Academy Collaboration Center at the Sankat Mahavir University would be instrumental in skilling and deliberating pathways for employability and attitudinal realignments of the youth of the country. So thank you, Bosch, for partnering with us and making us a part of Skill India mission.
So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Let me try and share my screen so that people can see the PPT. Is this visible, Dr. Reddy? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
All right. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All right. Thank you very much. So, good afternoon to all present today, especially the principal, Professor Nagraj, Dr. Reddy, all the other organizers of this program, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege to be with you today and talking about my pet topic of industry academia collaboration for skill development. Those who are not very familiar with this company called Bosch, maybe I will take a couple of minutes to introduce this company and then I will jump to the topic of skill development and then I will come to the industry academia collaboration, which we have spent in some efforts in last about 3 years. Bosch is a company which was started by a young boy of 25 years of age in 1886. This was his startup. Mr. Robert Bosch, when he completed his apprenticeship, instead of going for a regular wage employment, wanted to set up his own small company, that time what he had in mind, and he started this company called Robert Bosch GmbH. Of course, the name came later. That time, it was only around a very small workshop which was set up in his garage. These days, it is very fashionable to say that we are starting our company from the garage, but in his case, it actually happened so. So the company is now about 136 years old. We hear that the average life of a Fortune 500 company is about 45 years. So if this company is surviving for 136 years and growing, that means there must be something different these people are doing. Maybe I will share a couple of things about it today, and then I will jump to the main topic of skill and the industry academia collaboration. The company since 1986 from a very small garage, very small startup has now become to grow to become the biggest auto component and technology manufacturing company in the world. Now we have about 440 companies across the globe. We employ more than 4 lakh people. We do a business of about 77 billion euros, which is equal to about 6.5 lakh crore rupees. As we know, this is equal to the GDP of few small countries put together. Other interesting thing about this company is they focus on research and development. Company spend about 8% of its sale on R&D. Not many companies, even the large companies like Bosch, the Fortune 500 companies, are able to spend 8% of their profit on R&D. But here we are talking of 8% of total revenue. More than 72,000 engineers work in R&D across the globe. There are also colleagues from India who are a part of this team, and this team put together apply for 13 patents every day. So some people ask me when I say 13 every day, so is it a mistake? Are you saying 13 per week or 13 per month or 13 per year? But this is 13 per day. It is about 4,500 patents every year. So that talks about the innovation strength of the company. But more important than that, what is not here in this slide is the founder's vision of serving the society through business. He believed very strongly that the businesses should not run only to make profit for the shareholders of the company, but the major part of the profit should go back to the needy in the society, and that is why the businesses should exist. So leaving to the true words of him, now Bosch is owned by a charitable organization. While we do this kind of a huge business, as I said, but overall 92% of the dividends of the company go to a charitable organization called Robert Bosch Foundation, which is headquartered in Germany. I am very privileged to be heading the operations of the foundation for India called Bosch India Foundation. Only 7% of the profit of this company from all the operations all across globe goes to the family of Mr. Robert Bosch, and 1% is used to meet the administrative expenses. So it's very rare to find this kind of an constitution of a privately held company of this size, which is, of course, not only a Fortune 500 company, but in fact, it is always remaining into the top 100 companies in the world. Coming to India, before I come to the skill development, little bit about what we do here in India. We have 13 different companies, 18 factories, headquartered in Bangalore. Started our operations in 1922 from Kolkata, when we started a small sales office to sell spark plug. That time, of course, the spark plugs were imported from Germany much before independence of the country. And in fact, this year we are celebrating 100 years of Bosch in India, because we started those operations in 1922. Very few companies will have this kind of a privilege to celebrate 100 years of its existence, that too in our country. More formally, in 1952, we set up this factory, which is also the headquarter of Bosch in India now, at a place called Adugodi. And then we grew to set up different companies, different factories in different locations. So today we have 13 different companies in 18 different factories. Since today's topic is skill development, let me now go a little bit deeper into what we do. In 1961, Bosch decided to set up a vocational training center in its factory in Bangalore to run the German model of training, which we all know is world famous. That is called VET dual system, vocational education and training, which they deliver in dual mode. Dual mode means part of the training happens in the classrooms and part of the training happens on the job. Germans are very proud of this model. They believe in long-term training of 3 years, the apprenticeship training, and they believe that if Germany has least percentage of unemployed youth, the credit goes to this model. And Bosch in India wanted to bring this model to India in 1961 itself, the year when Government of India brought the Apprenticeship Act. Ever since, we are running this center here and the apprenticeship training in that very successfully. 245 of our apprentices have won the gold medals in the competitions organized by Government of India over these years. The center itself has been declared as the best training center by the presidents of India 54 times out of these about 60 years or 62 years now. About 25% of the apprentices who have completed the training from this center are working abroad, many of them in Australia and also other countries. In fact, the biggest alumni association of this Bosch Center in Bangalore is in Sydney. Second biggest is in Melbourne, while the center is in Bangalore. We also have, of course, many of them working for Bosch who are now preparing for their retirement because they joined Bosch about 35 years before, 38 years before, 40 years before, some of them. And many of them have grown to become general managers, general managers, and in some cases even the vice president. These are 10th pass students with 3 years of training only. In 2019, sometime in the last quarter, when we received the draft of the National Education Policy, which later became NEP 2020, we noticed that the government wants to focus on skill development in the higher education. We decided to call a meeting of the vice chancellors of private universities. Perhaps that was the first effort from our side to engage with the academia at that level. We were told that usually the conclaves of the vice chancellors are organized by UGC. So people were wondering whether a private company should really do that. But we ventured into it, invited these senior academic leaders. To our surprise, all of them who were invited came, some of them including from Northeast. We spent about a full day with them and discussed on what the industry can do to introduce these vocational trainings in the higher education, and especially the role of Bosch. After almost 6 or 7 hours of discussion, we agreed on 5 areas of collaboration. First one on the skill development of youth, which was divided into 2 parts. One is the youth who are undergoing training, undergoing education in these universities. And the second, those youth who could not get admission in the university, but are living in the society around that university in their neighborhood. So many of the vice chancellors showed interest that they would want to also help the society through these skill development programs. The second topic which we had agreed was to train the trainers. We know that in this country, we lack trainers in both the quantity as well as quality, whether it is the technical training or it is the soft skill training. So Bosch has its soft skill training program, which is linked to employment, called Bridge, which we are running now in about 725 centers in the country. And there we train the soft skills. So this is what we also offered to these universities, that if you want, you can do these TTTs, not only for Bosch trainers, but also for the trainers at large for the industry, because the country need, of course, many more of them. Bosch also runs a one-year technical training program for those engineers who want to become trainers. And that program was also offered to some of the universities who have the engineering colleges in them and who were interested in running long-term TTT programs to produce high-quality trainers. The third point of collaboration was on producing industry-ready social service professionals. The background was the CSR Act, which came in 2014. And ever since, the CSR budget of the corporate India is increasing year after year, which has now grown to become 22,000 crore rupees in a year, which is 2% of the profit of all these companies in India. While the educational programs run for the youth all along were aligned with the NGOs requirements in the country, mainly focusing on fundraising, apart from doing the social development work, of course. But when we looked at the curriculum, we found that there is no mention of the skills required by these corporates to hire these professionals, where the need is not fundraising, but the need is to use the funds available effectively. So how do you find good quality NGOs who can run good quality social development projects? So we designed the curriculum, which is a 2-credit course now, and offered this to universities to not only offer to the students who are there existing in their universities currently studying, but also to the CSR professionals in a short-term basis of those companies who want to get the skills enhancement done of their employees working into the CSR departments. The fourth area is the capacity building of NGOs, is also very, very important in the country. And the fifth one was the capacity building of the MSMEs, for which there is a exclusively program designed by Bosch, also tested and tried. Multiple batches have been run by Bosch already, and we agreed to offer this to these universities for scaling this up in the country. So after this conclave of the vice chancellors, which we organized in November 2019, and the key focus areas which were identified, one of the key requirement which we had discussed with his vice chancellors, and they happily agreed to identify a single point of contact, one senior professor in their universities who can deal with Bosch team on a regular basis. We later also agreed that they identify 5 more persons from the university, from the teaching staff, who can take up each one of these topics. One person who become a subject matter expert for skill development of youth, one person for training the trainer, one for the CSR training, the other one for the NGO training, and one for the MSME training. So these 5 additional persons, other than the one who is the overall coordinator called IACL, Industry Academia Collaboration Lead, these vice chancellors identified 5 more persons as subject matter experts. Bosch organized during almost these 2 years of COVID a number of online training programs to build the capacities of these IACLs and the subject matter experts. In the video, you heard one of the Industry Academia Collaboration Lead, Dr. Manjula Jain, from one of these 25 universities. She was talking from Moradabad, which means that we did not limit or spread only to the metro cities or the state capitals. We in fact went to the smaller places like Moradabad and set up the collaboration centers there. So now, after having this collaboration very successfully with these 25 universities, we have extended this to the college level also, and 200 colleges have already been enrolled where the vocationalization of the higher education is being practiced. So what we offer to these colleges is a program called Yes, about which I will talk in another slide. The capacity building of the IACLs, 25 people, was done first a 4 days training on the concept of industry academia collaboration for skill development. There was a 5 days program done on nation building attitudes and behaviors. I will talk a little more about it later. On skill entrepreneurship training, wherein the youth who are interested in starting their own skilling centers can undergo a training program on entrepreneurship, and then they are handholded to start their own skilling centers. There are 4 modules of this. We also organized a 5 days TTT program for them through the Sectoral Skill Council called MEPSC, which is under NSDC. The NSDC, as we know, is under Ministry of Skill Development, Government of India. We even organized a 2 days video editing training for them so that they can develop good quality video contents on their own rather than depending on professionals. Also did a yoga and meditation training for them online for 21 days, which were very highly appreciated by them. The SMEs training was done on the specific subjects which they had agreed to handle. And this 4 modules training for the colleges or the representative of the colleges, we call them as IACC, Industry Academia Collaboration Coordinator. There are 200 of them. For them, there is a 4 topics training. 4 courses are there. One course is on skill entrepreneurship, which is a 4 module course. The second one is nation building attitudes and behaviors. Third one is on future human competencies. And fifth one is on social responsibility. Coming to the details of these 4 courses, the first one is on skill entrepreneurship for the youth who want to start their own skilling centers. This is a 4 module training delivered online. We have supplied the course content for this complete program to all these 200 colleges with whom we have tied up, the soft copy as well as the print copies. And we have also trained their IACC, the Industry Academia Collaboration Coordinators, to run this program in their respective colleges. About 20 colleges are being attached to one university, wherein the IACL, who have been trained far more deeply in the on these topics, have we are attaching these IACCs to the IACLs so that the IACLs also can support them locally. There appears to be some challenge with the slide change. Yeah, I'm able to do it. Then coming to the little bit more details of this topic called nation building attitudes and behaviors. We focus a lot on education in the country. We also focus about the employable skills. But this aspect of the attitude and behaviors is not something which is very in a focused way discussed in the academia. But we believe very strongly that if the nation has to become a developed nation, then these 10 traits, behaviors must be seen in each citizen's behavior, not only in the students. So we have designed this curriculum called Nation Building Attitudes and Behaviors, which talks about ethics, integrity, responsibility, respect for law and regulation, respect for majority of citizens by right, love for work, effort to save and invest, the will to become productive, punctuality, and also the attitude of gratitude. So we have trained all the IACLs as well as the IACCs on this module and provided them the content which they are now implementing in their respective colleges and universities, and they're teaching their youth in the country, which we feel is one of the most important contribution of our program, because the education and the employable skills or so-called domain skills are not enough for this country to become a developed country. The another module I had mentioned about it earlier is on future human competencies. We keep hearing that in future, and perhaps not far distant in future, in the near future, many of the jobs which currently are being done by the humans will be done by the computers. There is an rampant increase in the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and topics like this. In industry also, we keep talking a lot about Industry 4.0, where a lot of work in the modern manufacturing environment will be done by the robots, which is currently being done by the humans. So the question keep coming again and again is that if lots of these jobs will be taken away by the computers, then what will humans do? The World Economic Forum released a report saying that there are 10 different skills which the computers will never be able to learn or never be able to practice. So these will always be done by the humans. So they have grouped those 10 skills in 4 different groups. One is around problem solving, which also include innovation. The second is about self-management. The third is about managing your people, which also includes teamwork. And the fourth one is about managing the technology which you are using. So we have developed the course content around these 10 human skills, and also these trainers have been trained on that, who are now using those Bosch content to train the students in their respective institutes. This is a little bit detail about the entrepreneurship program, which I mentioned. This is a 4 modules program wherein someone who is interested in starting his or her own skilling center can undergo this program. We have already trained 100 such youth in the country with the help of the university partners, and those 100 youth are now successfully running their skilling center. So at one time they were then themselves unemployed. Now not only they have become the entrepreneurs, but they are in fact now helping the other youth to undergo this training and helping them in finding the jobs. So coming to the current status, after the training of these 25 IACLs, we are in regular contact with the vice chancellors. We keep having regular video calls with also the subject matter experts apart from the IACLs. We are now taking it to 200 colleges, as I said. 100 skill entrepreneurs have been trained and they have started their own skilling centers. And now we are taking this to the IACCs. The course contents in the form of hard copy as well as soft copy have been provided to these colleges and universities, which some of them are planning to incorporate in their regular curriculum, and some of them are offering this as an optional subject. So these are some of the testimonials from the university vice chancellors as well as the IACLs. So I will stop here, Dr. Reddy, and will be happy to take if there are any questions or someone wants more information about the industry academia collaboration or anything about skill development.
Yes, sir.
Over to you.
The platform is now open for discussion. Any questions from the participants can be put forward. Participants, any questions? Can even type the question in the chat box.
So I'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, now, sir, now in the NEP curriculum, we have a mandate, okay, to include courses such as ability enhancement courses. In each and every discipline in engineering, okay, the student has to earn minimum of 8 credits, okay, under the category of ability enhancement courses. Of course, each ability enhancement courses can differ from discipline to discipline based on their domain expertise. So it would be great, sir, because the Bosch having that kind of already in-depth, okay, experience in terms of the skill. If you suggest us for the higher education, in particular for the undergraduate engineering study, this thing, it would be really great.
Yes, Dr. Reddy, I would say that it is not only about Bosch alone doing it.
Correct,
We
correct.
would also like to bring the other industry partners together. There are
Yes.
many other companies who have shown interest in industry academia collaboration program.
Yeah.
As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we set up these collaboration centers in 25 universities. Some of the pictures you saw, and also
Yeah.
you saw that in the small video. So these
Correct.
collaboration centers have been set up not only for the Bosch collaboration to be promoted, but also the other industry partners, the local NGOs, the local SMEs, even the government at the local level can come forward and force collaborations with the academia. So we would certainly like to do our bit on this the ability enhancement curriculum, what you said. While we had started much ahead of time, perhaps we started this collaboration initiative in 2019, even before the actual policy came. The policies, in fact, as you know, came a little bit later. But now perhaps is the time for us also to relook at it, revisit it, and then see what more aspects the companies like Bosch or the others in the industry can do to support the academia. But I know that there is a need to be met. No doubt about it.
Your point is right, sir. Okay, the Bosch is already taken this initiative, and further, maybe if you see that okay, VET module, okay, in just 20% theory, 30% okay, hands-on, and 50% is industry exposure. If really that happens in the undergraduate study in the engineering, okay, I think we can expect the increase of employability, okay, in our country.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there is no other way, Dr. Reddy, to do that. The only way is to expose the students to the industry and to their actual job roles while they are still in college.
Yes,
So
sir.
this will not only help the students, but this will also help the industry. And this is how it is very successfully working in Germany.
Yeah.
The entire apprenticeship training program there, which is a 3 years, because the Germans don't believe into short-term training programs, because fortunately for them the numbers are less. For a country like ours, where we need 1 million youths to be provided employment every month, so their numbers are less. So they can afford to have 3 years long program. We have to have both models. We have to have long-term as well as the short-term program. But I think there is no question about not exposing these youth to the actual job roles while they are still in college. I think we need to do a lot more work on that.
Sir, our heartful appreciations to the Bosch and your team, sir. But again, at the same time, our sincere request is maybe, okay, just I would like to mention, like the way maybe some of the bodies like NASCOM or any other, okay, work on a particular area. Okay, if the Bosch will take a lead under okay, your leadership and brought out this ability enhancement courses or designing a particular course, okay, suitable for the engineering graduates in particular. Okay, it would be really great. It is our request just to consider this and bring okay, more corporates okay, into this, more companies into this, and it would be helpful to the academia, sir.
Yes, I would suggest that if we can have some kind of a task force wherein some people from industry and some from the academia are there together.
Yes, sir.
And then we can work on this agenda together.
Now, importantly, sir, okay, in order to do this, what I see is Yes, fine. Okay. Well, because the faculty who are in the college now, for example, who have got even 20 years of experience and working in a college, when he or she was studying as a student, he never exposed to the industry. I feel whether the first thing is train the teachers is very, very important. It is very clear the teacher is going to retire in this profession only, but in the due course of time, what kind of the skill set he or she has to acquire, then only he can transfer to the student community. So first target must be teachers and then to the, of course, to the students.
Yes, in fact, as we all know, the things on the industry side also have changed a lot in last few years. So one is that when these professors were students themselves, they were not so much exposed to the industry, as you said. And even if they were, now the industry of today are very, very different. I mean, if you enter a Bosch factory, you won't see a lathe machine now, whereas at one time you would find some hundreds and hundreds of lathe machines. So now you will only see robots and everything to do with the industry 4.0 and IoT and all those kind of stuff. So you'll find more number of computers than anything else there on a shop floor, which was not imagined that time. So is the case with all the large companies, and I'm sure the smaller companies, even the MSMEs, are going to catch up on this over a period of time. So exposing the current teaching faculty to this kind of a manufacturing environment, I think, is very, very important. Then only you can do justice with the classroom. Otherwise, there will always remain this gap between what we teach through the books and what we actually practice on the shop floor.
Yeah.
Sir, good
In
evening.
fact, we have asked the participants to share their questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please.
I am Thomas Emmanuel from Tamil
Good
Nadu.
evening, sir.
I am Thomas Emmanuel from Tamil Nadu,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Sir, actually, we are AICT
Yes, Mr.
approved
Thomas.
courses of the MC and MBA we are running. Basically, we are arts and science college,
Right.
but we are running AICT course on MC and MBA. Whether this particular industry can help us in making a tie-up with you in focus of MC and MBA, sir. Whether Bosch
Right.
can
So
help us.
some of the topics what I mentioned are common. These are not in fact domain specific or a particular engineering branch specific. For example, nation building attitudes and behavior is something which is good for every student, whether somebody studying in arts, commerce, science, or whatever. Similarly, when you talk about the future human competencies, these are also equally important. So those who are interested possibly can give their contact details to Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy already knows the contact detail of my colleague in Bosch, who is driving this industry academia collaboration, and we can share more details with you through the email.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, all your program titles are fantastic, whether it is yes or any other. It has got a lot of meaning. I'm sure your team might have worked very long to make this, especially you.
No, so some of the colleagues are very passionate, Dr. Reddy, to make these things on the ground, because this kind of a work you won't find many companies doing it. The companies are normally busy in doing their business, and even if it is a CSR department, companies will do CSR in a different way. But Bosch always do whatever we do with great passion, and we always want to make things which can be linked to the result, and everything should be outcome and impact oriented, and not only the input oriented. So that is perhaps the difference between our team and some of the other colleagues who can talk. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today, and we are all proud of the skill development services
Of
you are
Bosch.
doing for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a real privilege being a part of this program. And thank you for the invitation. Very happy talking to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
As we come to the end of today's program, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. Firstly, I thank our college management, our director, Professor N.R. Shetty, sir, our administrator, Mr. Rohit Punja, our principal, Dr. H.C. Nagaraj, our dean academics, Dr. V. Sridhar, Dean Academics Student Welfare, Dr. Nalini, who always encourage us in conducting such knowledge sharing platforms. I thank our chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of VTU, Professor Kari Siddappa, and our guest of honor, Professor Pratap Singh Desai, President of IST New Delhi, for joining us today and sharing their views about NEP. I thank our resource person, Dr. O.P. Goyal, Senior General Manager Head, Bosch India Foundation, for sharing his knowledge with us today. I thank the organizing committee, Dr. J. Sudhir Reddy, Head and Professor of Mechanical Department, Dr. Kapilan, Dr. Pradeep V. Badigar, and Dr. Vijay Kumar from Mechanical Department for their efforts in organizing this workshop. I thank all the participants who were in-house and from various institutions who had joined us today and made this event a grand success. Thank you all. And a request with you all is that a feedback link will be shared with you and within 2 days, and all of you are kindly requested to fill the feedback through the link which is shared to you, and the certificates will be shared to you shortly. Thank you all.
Hello, ma'am. Where do we get the feedback link?
So you'll be getting it within
Through mail.
within 2 days.
Through mail.
Through mail, through email.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mishra ji. Thank you.